And a good day to you, sir, and ma'am, and anything in between. Welcome back to Far Reaches. That's right. Look at this. 4 reachers all here, ready to go. It's been a while since we've had the quorum from the beginning. Took a little planning, a couple miracles. For those of you at home not watching the video, you have no clue who's here yet. So I will introduce ourselves again. This is the semi-hostess with the mostest, Micah. We have Rawley Bigsby, Richard, and Mr. Joel all joining us as well. We together form like the Voltron of the podcast and make the Far Reaches group. So thanks for joining us once again. All your favorite podcast locations and on the YouTube, of course, if you care to both see and hear all that is the technical difficulties in my head. The Far Reaches podcast. So welcome back, everybody. We're here to kick this week off. Got everybody in place. And as usual, we will start off with the ever popular, always commented upon, weekly update. Mr. Rawley, how was your week, man?
Who'd you say?
Rawley, Mr. Bigsby. Yeah, sorry. I was too polite. You guys didn't recognize how I was saying it.
My screen froze there, but I'm assuming you were about me.
Yes, you, Mr. Bigsby, in the yellow hat. Yeah.
The weekly update?
Yes, sir. Please do. Enlighten us, if you will.
We've been getting a lot of rain. I say that would happen when I started a little irrigation. So got water on, and my second cutting's going to be great. Plenty of water already now. So
as you can hear.
Other than that, we finished. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just somebody rang my doorbell for some damn reason at 9:30 in the evening, and so Scraps is letting them know that this aggression will not stand. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter movement or something. But
local protester leaving a flyer.
Yeah. But no, we branded our last bunch of calves yesterday, and just
all done.
Yeah, keep them busy. Yeah.
Outstanding.
So probably start knocking hay down. Looks like we got a good weather window here at the end of the week. Supposed to be getting up into the 80s, and if the forecast at the end of the week looks like good for 10 days or so, we'll start busting a move on some alfalfa.
Hay and times are coming. Hay and times are coming. We're always gonna bust a move on some hay. Outstanding.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of what's going on around here. Nothing too exciting.
Just another day in paradise. Absolutely.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Richard, if you can hear us, why don't you go next? Joel's obviously still doing some kind of weird tap dance with his modem.
Having internet problems, I guess.
It happens.
Too far away from the thing that makes the internet.
Magical box that lives in everybody's house.
The internet box
things that makes internet. You guys got any of those? Sorry, we're all out, sir.
I finished 7th and 8th grade distance learning today.
Congratulations. Are you on to 9th grade next year? You're the teacher. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
Can you speak up a little bit, Richard? I'm having a problem hearing you. I'm waiting for you to just yell. Yeah. Wee!
I'm a kid like the 70-year-old man that I was talking to today. No, So we got high school and middle school finished. I only had to cut like 4 freshmen loose. So I'm sure some good Samaritan that has more empathy than me will make sure that they pass between now and next year.
But you released them back into the wild, so congratulations.
But it's good to have a sort of a fellow alumni from your high school doing the grading of your papers, because a lot of it's subjective. So
explains a lot over the years. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, we tackled a huge irrigation project, well, semi-huge. I didn't even know that we were going to do it until I showed up today. So that was super exciting. But got a lot done. and put in about 7 checks and 2 big diversions. And one of the bigger 36-inch culverts we put in 3 weeks ago is actually absolutely exceeding expectations. So I left Dale with a big smile on my face. Unfortunately, it's 42 degrees or something here. So even though we have all the water in the world, nothing will grow. So
Falcon.
yeah.
4-2 as a
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. I was changing mine yesterday morning, Richard, and in the process of it had an inch of snow on me by the time I finished. It was a little wintry for June.
Wow.
So we're creeping up on the longest day of the year, and still not successfully found summer yet. But I keep looking. I'm sure it's around the next bend. It'll be here.
Yeah, that's that global warming kicking your ass again. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know people are thinking that I had to say it.
Yes. It's there.
Hey, Rawley, you mentioned your second cutting is coming up, and the hay that we picked up was the first cutting. I never heard that people were so particular about what number of cutting. Is there really that big a difference, or is that just sort of a peace of mind
No.
type of
Take it
deal?
away, hey boys.
Depending on the market you're going into, the horse market, yes, because you have a lot of people that want the prettiest, leafiest shit for their horses. And is it the best for their horses? I'm going to say no, because the horse has a cecum and doesn't have 4 stomachs, and it requires quite a bit more roughage to keep from having impaction problems and whatnot. And the first cutting has a lot more fiber and stemminess to it, and it's actually a better packed product from a nutritional standpoint, because you've got a lot of microbes and whatnot through the wintering process that broke down and put more nutrients in the soil. When that draws into the plant initially, it helps create a better feed source. The second cutting tends to be a little washier at times, just not nearly as good. However, in the horse 2 type business, the hay is much more eye appealing for horse folks. So I guess it's all personal preference, but
You should see Brian and Jennifer's new horse. I think that's like a 3rd or 4th cutting horse, if you ask me.
It's created a whole
even
new
a horse.
description, Joel. I love that. That's really awesome. Like, how's a horse? I wouldn't go over 4th cutting on you, I'll tell you that much. Congratulations. Yeah.
It's not what you call pretty.
Yeah, it's functional. That's the cool thing about hay, though, too, Joel, is it's really like this cool mix of science and art, really, of when to cut it, and how mature it is, how much protein's in it, how much TDN or total digestible nutrients, and then if it gets how it cures when the sun's on it, if it gets any rain, how the temperature is, when you get it put up, what kind of moisture you have in it when you bale it. All that plays together in conjunction with 1st or 2nd or 3rd or 4th cutting. So it's really, and it also depends on if it's alfalfa or grass hay. There's a lot that goes into making those really nice, quote unquote, good hay, which thank God everybody's got a different definition of. And so, that's where testing comes together, and just reputation, and most usually, though, it's what it looks like. Kind of like people. Might look great, but not worth a shit. So, a little washy. Not to get philosophical on you this early in the day, but just saying. But that's a phenomenal question, though, because that's almost a religious level to some people, especially depends on what they're feeding.
Ooh, we got a nice big thunderstorm happening here right now.
Fuck her up, Buttercup.
Right over the top.
We've had hot. Like, it gets down, it cools off to 75 at night and up to close to 100 in the day. So that does make some nice thunderstorms. So that's why I got all excited when you said it was 40 outside right now. But, well, Joel, since you're giving us the weather outlook, do you want to give us your weekly update while you're at it?
Yeah, I had a pretty good week. My friend Anthony came to Pendleton for the weekend. He came on Thursday. This is a college friend. We were roommates for 6 months when I was at Oregon State. This guy went to Linfield though, and then he lived in New York. So we hung out all the time in New York. But he drove cross country a few weeks ago. And he lives in Corvallis, so he's from Corvallis.
Mm-hmm.
So he came out for the weekend. Took him to all the hot spots, Semioti's, Hamley's.
Nice move, Bo.
The Bow.
Yeah.
Yep. And then played some categories with the family. Swam in the swimming pool.
Oh, nice. Yeah. You guys had
Pretty good life.
Yeah. Not a bad little week. Yeah.
Yeah. I worked too.
Oh, I was going to say, I was going to ask you how work's going.
Yeah, it's going fine.
Excellent.
Not much to say on that.
Oh, that's good. No news is good news, as they say.
Yep.
Whoever they are. We'll say it too. So, yeah. I had a pretty good week as well. It's first full week of work in quite a while. So getting stretched out and back into that, a lot of phone calls, a lot of introductions and howdies, and a lot of good deep thinking. So, going for a walk, going for a drive, charting stuff out on the board, just trying to get everything kind of in a pile, getting it all out of my brain and onto paper, which is a spooky thought for those of you that know me. And still continuing to liquidate assets to reduce the amount of crap I have to move with. So that's been really fun. Met some cool people. I put a lot of stuff on Facebook Marketplace. And so, yeah, you get the weirdos asking crazy questions, but met some cool people in the process too that come pick stuff up. So, you obviously have something in common if they're buying something you had. So there's that middle ground, but interesting nonetheless. So it's been fun. So
I'm going to walk this over here so you can see this downpour.
Oh, yeah, let's get a little weather outlook by Mr. Joel.
I just looked at the radar and they've got a red cell right over the top of you.
Let's get the live.
It's slowing down.
It just started to slow down a little bit.
Of course it will. Now, that's a pretty nice little
That'll work.
The yard. Dang.
What they call what do they call that?
A turd floater.
A downpour, a more fun word for downpour.
Turd floater, yeah. Raining cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Gully washer.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry for the little sidebar there.
Hey, that's good. You got a little live local update there. Weather and traffic on the 10s.
The girlfriend and my brother just got back and the kids just got back from up the hill. A deer died next door, and it's been stinking up the neighborhood. So they just went up there to try to dig a hole and bury it.
Oh, nice.
So they got caught in that. Why didn't I help?
No good deed goes unpunished. Yeah, that's not your thing.
I didn't want to.
It's not my bag, baby. Really, it's not my bag.
Oh, if I got within 5 feet of that thing, I would have started throwing up.
Joel's storyline is, I think it's fantastic because you never would have heard him say that in New York.
No,
no. They just went next door, buried a dead deer that's stinking up the neighborhood.
Kicked a pigeon or something, but yeah.
Goddamn city won't take care of it. Can't get them to do anything around here.
Yeah, and what do you expect? So that was what, rugged outdoorsman, Big Daddy, that was up on the hill with a shovel.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of shovel work.
Outstanding. Now he looks like a wet rat. That's not good.
Yeah.
And they get the job done? They have to go back, or is it done?
I think they probably have to go back. They're only out there for about 15 minutes.
Well, I mean, they're already wet, so what the hell?
Yeah.
Let's
ask him. Did you get it buried, Brian? No, it's raining.
See, when I was little, Dad's like, don't get in the creek, don't get wet. First thing I do, go get wet. Then I'm like, might as well just go for it because I'm already in trouble. So it's on now, and
oh yeah, I guess standing out there with a shovel and a lightning storm is not a good idea either.
Well, you look kind of creepy, like you're burying something. That's like every bad movie. Some dude's out there burying some shit in the rain, you got the sense God gave a chicken, as Pot Roast would say. So we'll have to get the updates. But anyways, now that we've had our great weekly updates, it's time for, one of my favorite segments of all, and that's our weekly movie thoughts. This week we had the thriller, if you will, the mental adventure called Flesh and Bone, brought to you by Mr. Bradburr. He even apologized beforehand, and was somewhat necessary, but not entirely. So yeah, did everybody get a chance to watch it?
Nope.
Jesus, nice. I did. I suffered through that. I mean, it was actually a good movie. I mean, it was all right. It was pretty good. I'd never seen it. I never even heard of it. Did you even watch the freaking YouTube version of it or anything? You had plenty of time. Like, seriously, that's unacceptable. That's an F. If you were in Richard's class, you would fail. You would stay behind. And
Even with the
talk
hometown
short.
discount.
Yeah.
I plan to watch all the movies that recommended on before our last episode.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Anyways, we can talk about it a bit, Brad. Since I did the homework, I waded into that adventure. I mean, I'm kind of a Meg Ryan fan, and Gwyneth was differently in a weird element. And of course, you know, Dennis Quaid, and which was a nice surprise. Didn't realize he was in it. And then what's his
Nice.
the main guy. Well, not really the main guy, but
Why was Dennis Quaid a nice surprise?
because Richard hadn't mentioned him. He kept talking about the main
James
what's
Caan.
that bastard's name? James Caan. That's like kind of he framed as the main dude, and then when it fired up, you know, there he was. So I was like, oh, sweet, Dennis Quaid, nice move. It's set in like, what is it, like West Texas somewhere? It seems like to me. You know, it was from what the hell year was it? 1993 is when that came out. So I had not heard of it. I had no recollection. Richard, how did you know about this movie?
I don't know how I stumbled
It appeared in a vision, and turns out it was real.
I've probably watched it 30 times since.
Are you shitting me? Really?
No, I just find, for some reason, I just find that movie fascinating. I think about it a lot.
Interesting. It is an intriguing movie. Yeah, I don't know if I'd watched it 30 times or not, but yeah, it's you want to run it down and give us a synopsis real
Why don't you
quick?
tell everybody what it's
The
about?
guy that wrote it, I want to hear Micah's, but the guy that wrote it went on to direct and write all of the Harry Potter movies.
J.K. Rowling?
No,
No,
he did the
direct.
previous one. Yeah.
And J.K. Rowling's a chick, by the way. Female lady. Yeah.
She's in some trouble this week.
She's got a written tinger. Yeah. That's a whole other great conversation. Yeah.
No, I'm dying to hear what Micah's take on this movie is.
Well, I liked it. It's not a 30 watcher. That's for damn sure. I was intrigued by it. It was almost too predictable, though. The fact that Dennis Quaid was the son, the young boy. Of course, the messed up, chick was the daughter that was left behind at the whole event at the beginning, of course, that he runs into and they fall madly in love in this torrid kind of wild ass crazy romance. So I don't know. That seemed convenient, but also kind of cool because you're like, oh, there's no way that could be it's going to be the chick, isn't it? Yeah. And so, and then the role that Gwyneth played in the
what's
whole
this
thing
goddamn
is
movie about?
what's that? You want us
What's
to
this
ruin it
goddamn
for you?
movie about?
I thought you were going to watch. Okay. Well,
You're like, this isn't really Siskel and Ebert stuff. Like, well, I liked it. It was intriguing.
it was. Yeah. That's the whole point about
What was it about?
So
Give me the synopsis here.
okay. So it first starts off and there's like this young kid that this couple in the country finds. And they they think he's lost. It's like in the 40s, they're probably 50s or 60s. And so they bring him in the house. He gets up in the middle of the night, lets his dad in the house to rob it. His dad is James Caan. They wake up, there's a shootout, kills everybody in the house except for the baby. Flash ahead to, 20 years later? And Dennis Quaid's run like a vending machine company in the middle of ass crack, Texas. And his dad's still running around. He meets this chick. He meets Meg Ryan, and she's a mess, and she'd been robbed by Gwyneth Paltrow, and anyways, they end up hooking up and being happy, and it turns out Meg Ryan is the little girl that didn't get killed at the house and everybody else got massacred. So it's this catch-22 circle of life thing. And then so, yeah, there's a lot of other shit that happens in between, but that's sort of the 20-second version. So I skipped over a lot of the nuances. I'll probably watch it again. I am going to watch it again just to see what I missed the first time. But yeah, no, it was intriguing. I thought it could have been darker. That's what I was hoping for, I guess. It wasn't like, if it was going to go down that route, it could have been darker. That's all I'm saying.
Just think how dark it would have been in 1993 when you watched it. If you would have watched it when it came out, it would have been a dark ass movie then.
Oh, well, and that's probably true. Yeah, I've definitely been tainted since then. Yeah. So,
but it was. I like the fact I had forgotten it was Gwyneth Paltrow pre any plastic surgery.
She never had plastic surgery, did she?
What's that?
If you look at her in the movie and then you look at her now, it would be hard to tell.
She just lives a
You can barely
clean lifestyle with goop.
Yeah.
I think it's that vagina candle thing she's got going on. That probably helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. She looks a little more awkward. I really liked her like in Talented Mr. Ripley. That's probably my favorite Gwyneth period as far as looks. Yeah. Just saying.
Did you ever see the one that she was in with Jack Black?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was
Hello,
probably
wow.
her finest work.
That was pretty good too. I'll give you that. Yeah.
I would say it was peak Meg Ryan.
Well, she's pretty good. Yeah.
93.
But working
What year
girl,
did,
she's pretty
like-
good too. Yeah.
When Harry Met Sally, what year did that come out? That was probably her. That same time. Yeah, she was pretty good then.
Meg was very nice in this. Don't get me wrong. She was bueno. Yeah. She was pure. I'll put it that way.
What's the what was the topless situation?
Yeah, both.
Three topless scenes?
Maybe. Brief. Yeah. Oh, that's right. You saw some Gwyneth. Meg
And
jumped out of a cake. Kind of jumped out of a cake.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Alright.
gonna hit on that one tonight.
Yeah. They missed out on an extra, could have been more gratuitous. I'll put it that way, but not bad.
Yeah.
So
It can always be more gratuitous.
I think so. Yes, I would agree. I mean, it's no Porky's. Don't get me wrong there, but yeah. No, I'd recommend watching it. I'm going to watch it again. But it was, it's entertaining. It's a good Bradbury movie for sure. Like I just love to see what comes out of that mind, man. Yeah. So.
I like that it's like a predetermined destiny. That it's sort of an anti-free will story. Like you're just always screwed. Whatever your lot in life is, it's precast ahead of you.
And this whole gang was certainly in that circle.
Yeah. And the different characters in the movie all embrace their flaws and their futures in different manners. And some of them feeding and some of them are trying to go on and better themselves. And all of us would rather just not do any of that. He'd like to stay static.
Just keep going around and painting them dimes blue and the magic chickens that play tic-tac-toe. Yeah. That was some of the shit he put in his vending machines, is like the tic-tac-toe playing chicken, and so he had to come around and change the chicken out every week or so because it was getting tired and thirsty. So, and, jukeboxes and condom machines, and he just had this big old flatbed pickup he drove around Texas, and he had like a route, and so that he was definitely in a rut there in more ways than one.
I've never eaten crackers out of a vending machine since I saw that movie.
That'll do it. Yeah, that was pre-existing condition. Yeah. Oh, so guys, yeah, I'd recommend if you get a chance, jump on and check it out. It's worth a watch. It was a Tubi, Tubi. Is that the app it's on?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a pile of movies on there of various shapes and sizes. Yeah.
Hey, who do you think's had the better career? Is it Dennis Quaid or Randy Quaid?
Dennis Quaid.
I think Dennis. I think Randy got hurt when he went ape shit at the end there, but with the Cousin Eddie trilogy, that's pretty hard to beat too. But like, Dennis Quaid was Jerry Lee Lewis.
Which trilogy?
Yeah. What's that?
Hey, you're cutting out. I couldn't hear what movies you were saying that Dennis Quaid was in.
Oh, I think he did Great Balls of Fire. He was Jerry Lee Lewis. And then Inner Space was pretty
I
good.
never heard of that.
You Commie?
Never heard of that.
Yeah.
Well, Randy Quaid, that's the guy. That's Cousin Eddie, right?
That's Cousin Eddie. Yeah.
And he was in Armageddon. No, what's the one with Will Smith where they fight the aliens?
Independence Day.
Yeah, that was a big movie.
Yeah, I guess it'd be a tough decision. Like I said, I think what hurts Randy Quaid the most now is that he went completely off the deep end. I think he's living in a shack or a mine or something in Canada. Like he's off the grid crazy. Yeah, off the grid's good. He's off the grid crazy though. Yeah, but just considering the work, not bad.
The last episode, the last season of Goliath with Billy Bob Thornton.
Mm-hmm.
Antagonist was Dennis Quaid.
Oh, he could do that well.
That was freaky weird. So I would recommend that, but you obviously know what my taste in shows leans towards. So
no, I like Goliath too. That's a good show. Good random, yeah. So we'll stay with Richard, and Richard, let's discuss your what you have for us for word of the week. I'm dying to know. I'm just dying.
Well, I want to do jute dime.
Say that again.
So cool.
Jute dime.
And since these two didn't watch the movie, what's the purpose of a jute dime?
Yeah.
Can you spell it?
Yeah, can you spell it for us, Richard?
Yeah, like jukebox.
Jukedime.
Diamond.
Yeah.
Oh, not diamond? Not like a bling bling diamond?
No, like dime.
Okay.
Like juke dime?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe a special dime that plays a song in the jukebox.
You're
Or
close.
a fake dime.
Not fake, but pretty close as far as the special dime. Yeah.
No.
But so in the movie they paint them and they give them to the bartender.
To look like gold?
No, he paints his dimes. I think it's blue, and he gives a certain amount to the bartender to like feed the jukebox to get songs playing. And his theory is like, if somebody comes in, the jukebox is playing, he's going to get up and put more songs in when it stops. If it's not playing, he's probably not going to go start playing music. So
it's exactly right.
Yeah, pretty close.
What do you mean pretty close? It's a dime for the jukebox.
Special dimes for the jukebox. Yeah,
yeah, they are. They're painted blue.
I'd give you 9 out of 10. Yeah. So, but it comes from the guy who owns the jukebox. It's like seed money. It's like putting a couple dollars in your tip jar before. Yeah. So kind of keeps it running, and that's how he can track it too. When he goes and empties it out, the ones that are blue are his. That's what he seeded the jukebox with. So.
And it's been a long time, but I remember I used to get different quarters that were painted, and I didn't know what it was for the longest time. Now I know.
Yeah,
now
I had that same thought.
Yeah, now that the jukeboxes don't even take coins anymore, it's sort of.
No, like a lot of them hook up to your iPhone, which is kind of handy.
Yeah, especially if you want to sabotage everybody's night.
I've had those conversations with some friends of mine and around Amarillo, like almost got in a fight tonight because we kept playing the same stupid song in the bar.
I got pissed off at a bartender up in North Dakota and left and played Stairway to Heaven 10 times.
Oh, Stairway to Heaven. You're like, yep, I'm not coming back to this sumbitch. Yeah.
They could reset it, but it gave me great satisfaction as I was leaving.
Yeah, we did that at a party one time in college, but it was somebody had a porn tape back when the porn came on VHS, you know. So we put a porn on in slow motion and then took the batteries out of the remote and threw the remote somewhere before we left. It was pretty good. Yeah. One of those parties we really, really like, and we're going to go to another one anyway. So we had to kind of, you know, leave an impact, so to speak. So, yeah. It's like when I used to go to the cabin.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
What? I was just saying, it's remarkable how closely Richard's bill of his cap matches his walls.
Yeah, Richard's got his own green screen going. That's pretty impressive. I think, and a
He
new
really
hat,
likes that color.
I might add.
I'm in my high school room, and this is the most time I've spent in it since I've moved into this house for the second time. And honestly, when I walked in here, I didn't know that this was the color of the wall.
It's impressive. I had no idea. I couldn't. If you would have asked me where you're at, I wouldn't have had zero clue. Yeah, but and you know, you got a Mariners hat now instead of your Angels, or you're switching up on us?
When I had the four-wheeler incident,
Ah, yes.
A's cap was collateral damage. So,
Did you already cover that or something? Did you wreck a four-wheeler?
No, it's on the.
my wife got a four-wheeler stuck, and yesterday I spent 45 minutes getting it unstuck, and I got it unstuck. I got it back to where we keep it, and then I had to call somebody to come pick me up because I couldn't get in my pickup. I was so muddy.
It was literally covered head to toe. Yeah.
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 It took 45 minutes in the shower to remove all the mud.
You took that good dirt from your field. You should have left it there.
I left as much as we could.
I worked for a wheat farmer, a wheat and pea farmer around Milton Freewater, and that was one of the rules of the day: is before you left, you took the air hose and blew yourself off, because by God, you weren't taking all his dirt home. So that was.
Well, like we talked about, they're running low on dirt.
Yeah.
We got 60 years of dirt left.
Yeah, so you know, it doesn't do you any good to take it back to the house and wash it down the drain. You're going to blow it off in the shop, by God. So that was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You could do a lot of shit before they get on you, but if you didn't blow off before you went home, that was pretty much the worst thing you could do. And we tried to prove that every day, what the worst thing you could do and still get a job. So, yeah. Oh. Goodness. Now, yes, Richard.
I got one more thing I wanted to talk about in the movie.
Oh, yes, please do.
Is that soundtrack not awesome?
Yes, I'll give you that. Yeah. Yeah, pretty good soundtrack.
That was it. Sorry.
Kid, what are some of the songs?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
It's all instrumental, but like, if you ever been to West Texas, it's like whoever came up with it had spent a lot of time driving around West Texas, because it just, and they spend a lot of time in cars, and it's this beautiful cinematography, and it's all just woven together really cool.
Yeah, it tells a good story in that regard, for sure. Well, let's see here, guys. It's time to switch up to the Far Reaches intellectual moment of the week. We've oftentimes we've had other conversations that took us there. This week, not yet. So I have got an article from my good friends at the Wall Street Journal, and I'll give us the title, and who wrote it, and just a quick synopsis, and then we can cuss and or discuss. It'll probably lead to some other things, but it struck me as interesting. So this is from the text section. The title is Political Groups Track Protesters' Cell Phone Data. Voting and advocacy groups track cell phones of participants and send messages. The tactics are, quote unquote, deeply spooky yet extremely helpful, says one user. This is by Emily Glaser and Patience Hagen. June 14th, 8:44 p.m. So basically, they're using cell phones to track where people are at and what they're up to. Advocacy and voter registration groups are gathering a trove of data from protests by tracking the cell phones of participants and sending them messages about registering to vote or to take other actions. The tactics, which one user called deeply spooky yet extremely helpful, are the latest example of ways political groups are using cell phone data to target voters. Discuss.
I mean, is that even real? Like, I know you can access data, but it's all anonymous. Like, it doesn't come with your phone number.
Here it is.
Well, yeah, it is.
More fake news.
Usually Wall Street Journal and two different authors doesn't get sucked into that sort of thing, I would think.
Well, they were girl authors.
What's that? Did you just say they're girl authors? Is that why you're calling it fake news? Is that really out loud? Yeah.
I'm just saying they could be mistaken.
Well, they probably could, but probably in this situation, I'd say not. Depends on the app. I think it's mostly app-based, obviously. If they've built the app and people are using the app, then they're going to get that data, you know? So.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. Shoot. That seems like a privacy violation.
You've got an app and you've got location stuff turned on. The developers of said apps can share or not, you know, especially if it's a free app. Yeah, and you got all this stuff. They're just harvesting all this free data basically, because you know, if you get something for free as an app, man, somebody's getting something for it. It's not the kindness of their heart or their little banner ad to pop up every once in a while. There's something going on in the background, man. So yeah.
I wonder how they know which political party to target the ads for.
I think it depends on the app that they download, would be one. I think location would probably be in it. Like, hey, this person's in CHAZ. I imagine they're going to want to know this shit. So that's my thought. Yeah.
I don't know.
So there's a little flow chart that's hard to describe online, but you know, it's a person here. It's kind of like I'll read it out for you. So how your smartphone's location can be used by political groups during protests. So a person brings a smartphone to a gathering / protest, etc. An app with location permission sends the device's location and a unique identifier, obviously, to either the app developers, so the people who made whatever app you're downloading, who could share the data with location services companies, and a company offering location data services works with a political group with a location company to determine which geographic areas and timeframes to collect data from. Like there was a protest at this place at this time. They harvest that data out from those locations that were given off when those people turn the app on, and they target political ads back to the smartphone user. So, you know, if you're always walking around the house saying anal bleaching and your Alexa hears it, that's probably going to show up on your Facebook feed. So,
dude, that would be so funny if like troll these people got access to that data and just sent all of like these protesters a text message to vote for Trump 2020.
Yeah, it's
man,
like the stories you hear of people that hang back when the protests are going on and then they put Trump stickers on the protesters' cars while they're gone.
We'd have an earthquake from all the liberals literally shaking.
You think it's thunder? That's heads exploding. Yeah. So, Rawls, you're looking very in deep thought. What's going on in your world there, man?
We're in a fucked up world.
We should just have this segment called Rawley, what's fucked up about the world this week? Because that would be awesome. Yeah.
Don't people have anything better to do?
No.
Good God.
Obviously not.
Yeah, I suppose the whole conversation of these riots and CHAZ and all this bullshit should be the elephant in the room. and a topic we all need to talk about. It, I don't even know where to start wrap my mind around the lunatics that are out there that are just so easily persuaded by the. I mean,
Yeah, whatever the
it's
end of the week is basically.
it's like everybody's walking around with a personal billboard to look at, and you're getting advertised to by people that are trying to sway your thoughts and your motives and how you live your life. And whatever happened to thinking for yourself?
Well, that ship sailed. Yeah.
Step back and take a look at the big picture here, folks. Just a bunch of, I don't know, right? Just a bunch of mice.
No, it is a lot of pot stirring and following the leader, and you don't want to be the one that's not saying something. You know, it's I've never seen peer pressure and just mass hysteria, if you will, to this degree.
Well, in a way, it's borderline a modern day warfare type of a thing. I mean, because the what's at stake is far greater than anything that's been at stake in my lifetime, and it is just a mind fuck. I mean, it really is for a lot of people. My opinion.
Yeah, I think part of it is there's about 50 different things getting thrown at once, and I think obviously that's part of the overall plan or perception. I would think is complete chaos.
Well, yeah, it's a mindfuck because I always operated under the assumption that there are rules. None of them are following any fucking rules.
Yeah.
And they're just turning a blind eye to it with the CHAZ. These people literally committing anarchy, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that a thing, or is that just a made up deal?
Take a look.
Yeah, I think in most civil parts of society, absolutely. They tried that shit in Charlotte, was it? They started to build one in Charlotte, and the cops were like, no, that don't.
Well, look what happened in Malheur County a few years ago with
exactly.
the Bundys.
That's close.
That was go ahead, bro.
Terrible in the destruction and the criminal acts that these people are committing. And the government went and assassinated one of them, basically.
Yeah, they were protesting to begin with by taking that over, using another cause basically to come take that in. They were talking about the Hammonds, and that was a different deal altogether than what these guys were talking about. But they were still protesting what the government was doing. And then, they got lured to town and got shot, So, there's some similarities, but there's a lot of differences too, especially with, part of I have to point out the irony that the people take over this 6 blocks. And one of the first things that they do is they put up barricades and walls to keep people out. They have patrols with guns. They don't want any police, yet they're walking around with like their own security.
Well, that Raz guy is a self-appointed police officer, and
yes,
within 24 hours, him and his deputies beat the shit out of a guy.
Yes,
police brutality, right there.
Exactly.
Good job, guys.
It's its own little fishbowl. Part of me is like, hey, let this little experiment just go and run off the rails and implode. Unfortunately, they're not letting that happen. They're bringing in porta potties. They're cleaning stuff up. I saw their garden the other day. It looked like a few bags of topsoil dumped on the grass and some potted plants sitting there. Like some of them weren't even in the ground yet.
Farm.
What's that, Richard?
That was their farm.
That was farming. Yeah.
Well, it rained. Didn't it get washed away in the rain?
Probably. I've not kept up on it a whole lot because, like you said, Joel, like, isn't there rules? Like, that's the whole point that's how society works, is because people follow the rules. And if you get out of line, that's everybody else's job to put you back.
It's hard. They make it really hard to not be judgmental of the people that are doing it. I understand freedom of speech and standing up for what you believe in and whatnot, 100%. But the majority of these fucktards, their dad should have rolled over and shot it on the wall. They're just a bunch of little degenerate assholes that are spoiled rotten and never got told no.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you bring up a good point. I saw a really interesting tweet today that, like, put it in perspective a little bit for me, which like I used to be a Democrat. I think I still am a Democrat, just not by today's definition. But like when I, voted for Obama, I was thinking liberals sort of stood for a few things like free speech,
Mhm.
Basic equality. They fought for like a regular everyday worker. Now they're about shutting down speech that they think is hateful, which is pretty much fucking everything is hateful speech to them
Yes.
now.
If you disagree with them, it's hateful.
Speech is violence. All they want is just free shit, man. I don't know. I think it's irredeemable at this point. You can't get out of this.
I'm curious how 7,000 people were unable to take a lesson away from Lord of the Flies. Doesn't everybody have to read that damn book?
Yeah, it's been a long time, but yeah, without rulers.
I don't know how it goes down. Somebody kills Piggy, and then it's all.
What were we saying, Ross?
What were you saying, Rawley?
I didn't say anything right there. I was listening, or it cut off when somebody was saying something, but I didn't say anything. I was listening to Richard.
You were following up on Joel's comment.
Which one was that?
Oh, just how the shift in the Democratic Party.
So they're irredeemable.
Yeah,
the current state of things.
Weird, right? The insightfulness for violence amongst these people is not free speech. They're antagonists. They're looking for a problem, and
no dialogue either.
Maybe it's old fashioned, but give them one.
Yeah,
if that's how we give it to them.
Yeah,
they'll their tone real quick.
Yeah, but they're so encouraged by I hate using it, but like the mainstream media, like NBC is like talking about Trump is holding a rally or something, and despite the coronavirus pandemic, and then 30 minutes later they're like, look at these 10,000 people that gathered at the Brooklyn Museum for the Black Trans Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
Which that thing was. Did you see the pictures of that?
I did. It was incredible how many people were there. It was.
That's 2 blocks away from my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Is where that took place. It was weird seeing it like that because that's on the Eastern Parkway. It's a super busy, like highway.
Yeah.
6-lane highway.
It's just
everyone's standing
literally not the butt with people.
But they're just encouraging it. Like, I don't know. It's bullshit.
It lends to the next level where you don't want to believe anything you're told by the media. And that leads to even more chaos, I think. When you're like, I don't trust anything I hear. Like, I don't trust that side that says, this is a peaceful protest. Mostly peaceful. And in the background, shit's getting tipped over and burnt and broken. You're like, no, that's not what I would define as that. And then, like you were talking about, like, how dare he hold this rally when Corona could come back? Look at these brave people all protesting. Like,
but dude, even like I sort of was like, I would defend to people Fox News. I was thinking Fox News was covering this fairly. They were saying what nobody else was willing to say about it. But then they got caught doctoring photos to go onto their website.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you were winning. Why did you just screw
Why would
that
you
up?
ever do that? I don't know I didn't see which photos you're talking about, but yeah, why would you ever even think about doing that? Like, you don't have
they
to.
like photoshopped a guy with an AR-15 into like 4 different pictures.
Yeah. Like, unnecessary, you know?
Well, then you can go on Twitter and see live people getting beat down.
Yeah.
But you never see on the news anywhere.
That's true. That's the other thing, is like we have more access to more information ever than in any other time in history, and yet people still think they can take the same picture of a beach from here or there, or like tell a totally inaccurate story and look you in the eye and be like, if you don't believe that, well, then you're a racist or you're whatever. Like, dude, I just watched it live from somebody's feed. I know that was real. Like, what are you trying to pull on me here? You know, and that leads to the disinformation, I think, which is probably part of the huge plan too. But when you don't know what you can believe, if you weren't there, that makes it difficult.
The other thing that really upset me today was Bill de Blasio is the mayor of New York City.
Mhm.
And so part of like the phased reopening, one of the things you have to do everywhere is have contact tracers. So if somebody's positive, you can contact the people that they were around. But Bill de Blasio said they are not allowed to ask positive cases whether they attended a BLM rally. That's just willful blindness. That is like, we're not taking this serious at all.
No, like I could think of like how many. I've heard some athletes say this recently. Like, has anybody heard of like HIPAA violations? And you're talking about who's quote unquote got it and who doesn't, and privacy about where you've been, and like that just spins completely out of control in a blink of an eye. No matter what your quote unquote intentions might be, we all know what happens with good intentions. If you have bad intentions, it's even worse. But I will put my phone in a blender and then bury it in somebody else's backyard before you use it to track me on that bullshit with. Sorry. Just saying. So yeah, like you said, Joel, all the double standards and like, oh, so it doesn't matter. You can't get sick if you're at a protest, but you can if you're at a political gathering of the other side. Like that doesn't make any, like, seriously, people are hearing that and going, how is this possible? It makes even less sense than it did before.
Yeah, there's like a couple hundred people are drinking on the streets on St. Mark's Avenue in New York City. Just standing outside in the streets, outside of bars, drinking. Sure, fine. Call that dangerous if you want to. But then right next to that is, probably, I don't know how many people are at that rally, but thousands, tens of thousands at that thing, shoulder to shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just presented in just a completely different light, as in like sort of like this is virtuous get together, and this is more important than coronavirus. But I don't know.
It makes you scratch your head, don't it?
I won't say the author's name because it'll be worse. It'll flag this video and it will be worse than any curse words you can say on it. But you should read a book called Rules for Revolutionaries.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the most deeply disturbing books you'll ever read, and the way that this is unfolding is directly out of that playbook.
Yes.
And if you don't think that it has merit, it's unfolding, and it's all well scripted, and yeah. But I will not mention the author's name out loud, but
he whose name shall not be mentioned. But you're when you say scripted too, like to the T, like things are not left to chance.
And that sort of brings me to the thing is, I think that there's this what is it, the terminology, the silent majority. And I watch, and I might have less diversity in my social media than some, but I have a lot of diversity in mine. And I would say probably 8 out of 10 people think that everything that's going on is pretty much wackadoo. And I think that there's, I don't want to say naive, but there's a group of people that are discontent. A very small group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're sort of indulging that sort of, I want to say the word fantasy, but I'm going to say worldview. We've been indulging this worldview the silent majority has, because the other 80% of us like to follow the rules, and for the most part, I mean, we don't follow every rule, but we follow the social norms in society that allow us to function as a society and go forward. And I think that it's sort of like stored energy. The 80% just taking it and taking it and taking it. And I think when the wave crashes, it's that stored energy is going to be explosive. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I think that the 20% worldview right now thinks that they really have the world by the tail. And I think that they're going to be really scared when they catch it and it comes back at them. Like roping a bear. They come back up the rope at you.
Yes.
Wow, but they come back. They don't like to be roped.
Turns out, yeah, it's there's a lot of people that said, this is what happens when a whole several generations get a trophy for everything. And I had a pretty in-depth conversation with a buddy the other day. We were talking about this, and he was really pissed off. And I'm like, I always try to do the exercise where if I can possibly, I put myself where they're at. And if you think about somebody who'd been given everything and never told that they sucked or knew to do better, and they go to school, and then they, for some stupid reason, they go to college, and let's just say they don't get the most profitable degree, and they're indoctrinated the entire time they're in university about what's going to be like when you get out and how smart you are and how right we are and how everybody else who believes in capitalism sucks. Then you get out and you've got $80,000 to $100,000 in debt, and you can't find a freaking job anywhere because nobody cares about whatever you studied in college because it has no real marketable value. And you see everybody else in this quote unquote evil system somehow functioning, and you're stuck with all this debt and you can't find a freaking job, and you're not making $150,000 out of college, and you want everything yesterday, and you're not going to work for anything. You're going to be pretty pissed off because your little bubble got popped, and you're looking around like, this system doesn't support what I think it should. I think it's broken. I think it's jacked up. I think it's racist. I think it's whatever. I'm going to do something about it. It's not really racist or broken or whatever. It's the fact that you were completely blind to what you were doing your entire time you were coming up, and you're not finding a way to go find value in what you studied and did. And you get to the end of it, and you got fucking duped, man. That's what happened.
Yeah, so, plus the luxurious accommodations you stay in when you're in college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything's so clean and sparkly and nice, and then you get out and you can only afford a $400 or $500 a month apartment. You don't want to live like that, so it's easier to create your own country in Seattle.
Absolutely. I mean, you're gonna gripe about it, and on part of me is like, hey, that's fine. You don't like what's going on. Figure out a way to either change it or be smarter about it. And then guess what? You start finding other people who think the same way, like, this is bullshit. This system's rigged against me. You were just playing the wrong game, man. I mean, you bought horseshoes to a fucking basketball court. What do you expect?
Yeah, it is a game. And I was like I said, I came out of college, I had a lot of debt. Still have quite a bit of student loan debt. But I came out of college and I found a reasonably lucrative career. Compliance. I didn't dream of doing compliance. That's not what you want to do, but it pays the bills.
You're good at it. I think it challenges you mentally, which is good.
People need to tell these people you don't get to do what you love unless you're extremely talented at it and people value it. Otherwise, if you don't have that skill set, go into compliance.
For something.
Go work for a bank.
I mean, go get a pilot's license. Go, if you want to be an artist, be an artist. Don't expect me to support you while you do it, though. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't believe in your dreams. They're your dreams, not mine. So take it or leave it.
I want to be a songwriter, but my problem is I don't play any instruments. I have no musical talent. So
honestly, you can't let that hold you back, though. Seriously, I know some musicians. You can't let either one of those things hold you back, dude. Seriously, they'll tell you.
I'm not going to quit my day job, though.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
I've been deep into Tom Waits lately. And that guy has less talent than Bob Dylan, but
yeah,
he's still doing it
because he can. Yeah,
it's oddly fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of respect for people who cut their own swath. I really do. Either I'm not going to go to college, I'm going to do this, or I found this, and I could do it, and I'm happy, and I make a living. I couldn't be happier for you, But the fact that you went through all this idiocy, you got basically indoctrinated, and then you get to the other side and find out that the world's not what you've been told it is. And guess what? 90% of the people in it see it opposite of what you do. So I'm sorry, but adapt, overcome. That's what we do. That's what's so great about this company or country and all of us, that here is like, something comes up, you figure out a way to do it different, or you go learn something else, you adapt, you keep moving on. Because like, I don't think anybody here probably is at where they thought they might be. Maybe eventually, but like you said, you didn't go to college thinking like, I'm going to be, best damn compliance you've ever seen. It wasn't in your yearbook. I can guarantee you that. So.
And if you don't have the money to pay for it, just go to a fucking community college for 2 years.
Shit, man.
What are you
Get
doing?
on YouTube. What the hell
It's
do you
free.
need to go to college for?
I got paid to go to community college. They gave me like $1,200 a term.
Yeah.
Paid my rent for the term. Yeah, it's free. Go there. Don't
There's
spend
still sort of this.
$40,000.
I agree too. Like the student loan system is totally fucked up. I mean, like if it's something like you can't even declare bankruptcy and get out of, and the way they handle it, it's jacked up. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's right, the student loan system. The price of college has just gone completely off the deep end because everybody can get a loan and it's so inflated. So that part's messed up. I'm not going to say it's perfect. So take that for what it is. It can always be done smarter, I think. But that creates its own system right there, which is, and the fact that some people still think like you have to have a college degree to go get a job. I think that's somewhat ridiculous too. It should be based on how well you can learn, because that's the only thing I really learned in college is how to learn. That's what you prove when you go get your first job. Like, I can stick with something and I'm intelligent enough to jump through these hoops to get in front of you today, say, hey, now you really get to teach me how I'm supposed to do this your way, Yeah. And so it's so weird to see, I talk about this all the time, that how much information is at our fingertips, more than any other time in history. And some of us are the dumbest bastards walking around. Seriously. We are, like, and I'm raising my hand. Like, if you think about it, if you have a question, how long does it take you to figure out the answer? Not very damn long. Like, you can watch like 2 YouTube videos and you're going to get the majority of it. It's never been like that before. I mean, like when I was a little boy, like, shit, if somebody didn't know that you knew, you had to go look it up somewhere and like do experiments and shit. Now it's like, seriously, 5 minutes later, you got to figure it out. It's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, there's that old saying, there's no such thing as a bad question. Maybe that's true, but just don't ask it out loud. Go try to figure it out on your own on the internet before you ask it, because it might be a dumb question.
Well,
I've
go ahead, Richard.
I sort of want to know what your perspective is. So we covered phones. The bride is here. We covered phones. We covered phones and news and the sort of disillusionment of a certain percent of the population. Obviously, at a huge period of disruption. So, what do you think is going to happen to those 3 things? There's going to be an end to it. There's going to be a transition. And those are 3 huge things that are driving culture right now. So when we come out the other end, what's going to change about those 3 things?
What are the 3 things again? Phones and what?
Yeah, the way that they use our technology against us. The sort of the 20%, 30% of people are disillusioned and try and tear the system down. And the media that's completely negative in what they originally were intended to be, to the point where I don't even know that we need them anymore.
Yeah, I think that's one of their biggest fears. And I think about this a lot, about what's going to happen next. Because when we talked about this briefly last time we talked, I appreciated your comments about we always pop back. And so, I always pictured it as the pendulum swings back and forth. And so I hope that we'll be smart enough to stop and look around and be willing to call bullshit when it is and say, this is wrong. Like, let's take the media, for example. Like, you're not reporting anymore. You're telling a narrative, and that's completely inaccurate, and you shouldn't be even allowed to do that on public TV. Like, and I think, like you said, we don't even need them. I don't think so. I haven't watched the news in years, and there's for a reason, because it drives me crazy. So I think privacy is going to have to come back as a forefront of the topics. People are, as with most things, people are all for it when it's not impacting them directly. But I think people are going to see that we have way less privacy than we've ever had also. And I think we're going to see some more negativity out of that. Hopefully some more honesty about how much tracking is really going on and where. And I think that hopefully shifts back, as in most times it does. It's going to come back to the other side. And eventually then 15, 20 years, it's going to wander back to where we are now. I think that's just our crazy circle. Hopefully the rubber band doesn't break, but it gets really stretched.
I think there will be some violence erupting sooner or later with all these autonomous zones they're trying to set up. We're going to have to push back. I mean, the taxpayers that live in those places, they deserve their property back. There'll be violence. There's going to be a red wave. Donald Trump will be elected again. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is going to die. We're going to have a very unbalanced Supreme Court, and it's going to lean right for the next 30 years.
Yeah, but they just had a very interesting ruling today. I almost used as our intellectual topic of the week.
Was the
A good ruling, in my opinion. I think that's
Supreme Court rules for gay and transgender rights in the workplace.
Yeah, you can't be fired for being gay or transgender anymore.
And it was a 6-3 decision. I agree with that. I mean, you shouldn't get treated special for that, but you shouldn't be fired for that. I don't give a shit what you do in the privacy of your own home. If you want to rape chipmunks, I don't care. I really don't, unless we're in a chipmunk sanctuary. But other than, I don't care. If you show up and do your job and you don't shove it in my face and expect me to treat you differently because you are something else, I'm going to treat you like everybody else. That's my point. So if you don't want anything extra out of it, I don't care. I really don't. I don't think it's anybody's business what you do when you're not at work. So I think it was a good decision from what I can see on it. So, yeah. So, yeah, it might shift, but hopefully they keep doing the right thing. Like, it drives me nuts, too, when people are talking about how you can interpret the Constitution so many different ways based on your political leanings. And like, justice is supposed to be blind, man. That's the whole point. Like, it shouldn't concern you if the justice is nominated by a Republican or a Democrat. Like, you should be actually able to look at their actual record, not shit that gets made up and it just turns into the circus. It should just be almost blind. Like, I should just see I don't need a name. I don't need a gender. I don't need a race. When they're talking about bringing somebody to the court, it should be Judge X, and here's their freaking record, and here's how they answered this. That's all I need to know. I don't care anything else besides that.
Yeah, it worked like it's supposed to work with 6-3 ruling with Neil Gorsuch wrote the majority opinion. Trump appointee to
joined by Roberts and 4 more liberal members of the court. Yeah.
Yeah, and Roberts, right?
Say again?
Yes.
Wasn't Roberts a Bush appointee? Yeah. So, I mean, I think everybody on the Supreme Court is reasonable now. Ever since was it Scalia? Who's the guy that died underneath a hooker?
Scalia.
Yeah, that guy was a bit unreasonable, I think. But generally, that thing functions as the Supreme Court functions as it's supposed to. I think they're pretty reasonable.
I'm just so irritated by the system that people go through to get there, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's the pandering, the posturing, the politic, and it's just unnecessary on either side. But
all right, I got something that's bugging the hell out of me.
All right, spit it out.
Raleigh, do you have a stone hearth stove in your house? I was
No.
looking at the chimney. What kind of oven? What kind of stove is that? Oh man!
Get a hot one.
Can it get it? Can you make it so hot that you can't stay in your house?
Yes, you can.
You can freaking open the doors and melt snow 10 feet out, I bet you. Yeah.
I've had below zero outside and have the doors and windows open in the house.
Yeah.
Does it like go? Oh.
When you have a good wind out of the south, yes,
Where's the smoke go?
through a chimney.
Oh, it didn't look like it goes
Too
through
hot
the
for
roof.
smoke.
Yeah, just burning flame. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a quality
No,
unit there, Rawls. Yeah. I love Richard. All right, damn it. I got something that's on my mind and bugging me. I got to talk about it. The floor is yours, good sir. Is
It's
that
not
what
very
that's back there, Rawley?
environmentally friendly.
Yeah,
It's bad for the environment.
Oh, you shut your cake eater.
If you called it biochar, you'd be all excited about it.
yeah. So are 8-lane freeways in LA.
Yeah, so are electric cars, but we don't talk about that. So
Mhm.
I think electric cars are cool, but they're no savior. Yeah. So
You know what they're making? I just found out yesterday is they're coming out with a new Ford Bronco.
oh yeah.
It's being revealed in July.
Yeah, I've seen some of the prototypes or the snip pictures or whatever. And it's like a combination of the old Bronco 2, like the smaller one, and then the OJ Bronco. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I ever need to get a
Looks like
car,
a
I'll get one of those. Hey, what?
Like a rip off of a Toyota.
Oh,
If Aston Martin made a Bronco. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to continue to get interesting. I have no doubt about that. But I think people are waking up too. I think in not being woke. Don't get me mistaken. I think people are just like this isn't what it's supposed to be about. Like people who think like Joel, like the barber, the guy that was the barber in Michigan's like, I've been a Democrat my entire life, and we used to fight for free speech and rights, and now it's the complete opposite. Like you should not be chastised and fired and bullied for stating your opinion, especially when it's really, I mean, at any time, but it's pretty conventional and non-inflammatory. I think that's the part where if you don't have dialogue about what's going on, like you can't sit down and talk about it and you're like, well, I don't see it that way. It doesn't mean you're smarter or worse. Hello, Padre Grande. You're looking good after the water storm. That's
you look
where
good after
shit
the
breaks
water
down
storm.
and you don't get anything done. That's the problem.
And thanks to the Michigan Supreme Court that functioned correctly, 7-0 in the barber's favor.
Mhm.
I thought it was a silver lining in this entire mess that there's still 7 reasonable people on the court in Michigan.
Unlike Oregon. Yeah.
We won't talk about Oregon.
I think they did. I think they really need to. Is acquiesce the word?
Mhm.
Acquiesce, like he's up on the police brutality thing. So there was the new thing and the new event that happened in I think Atlanta. The Wendy's drive-through.
Yeah.
Just let that fucking guy go. Let him run away. Maybe that should be the law. If you want to run, we'll let you run. But if we catch you, that in and of itself for running from us is a felony. Once we do catch you, and we will catch you, you're going to be convicted of a felony here. But stop. The guy was running away.
No, the guy was passed
let him
out.
go.
The guy was passed out in the drive-through. That's how drunk he was.
No. I saw the whole video. I agree. He was, but
They tried to wake him up. He gets violent.
Yeah, he did get violent, but then he was able to get away and running away. Just let him go. We'll get him later.
But once we catch you, then you're done. You're talking about
Yeah, that's a felony,
and then we'll catch up to you later.
Yeah,
I-
yeah.
I don't agree with that. I think I think you're just causing more
I,
chaos.
I think Jim Carrey said it best in Liar Liar. Stop breaking the law, asshole. It's pretty fucking simple. You don't want to get in trouble with the police, don't break the fucking law. I mean, cut and dry.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, you would eventually catch that guy. They knew exactly who he was. Like, that's not the last time they're going to see him.
And they don't. A lot of times they will, but the person got physical, wrestled, took a taser, shot a cop with it. Like, yeah, he obviously. I see what you're saying. Like, he wasn't in the right frame of mind to really think about what he was doing. Probably, I'll give you that. But that's not really an excuse for breaking the law either. You know.
Right, but to be the devil's advocate on that, just because you broke the law that way doesn't mean you get sentenced to death.
He didn't get sentenced to death. He did
shot.
it. Like, so I would expect nothing. Like, if I did the same thing, I would expect to die. If I pushed it as far as he did. Now, that would be unfortunate because obviously he was hammered. But I mean, like, not being that's illegal right there. I mean, like Rawley said it. Don't break the law. He did. I understand what you're saying. Like, so what? You got his car. You probably know who he is. You can go get him later, I suppose. And sometimes they probably do that. But is that how you run a country with laws too, though? Like,
I mean, the police need to stop, and not just against black people. They're just pretty like. There's a lot of truth to militarize. They're overly. I don't know if it's fair to say they're overly scared because they do have a lot of danger that they face, but that's what they sign up for. That's you're a fucking cop. It's part of the gig. Like, if the other thing I say is like they get really scared when you're at a stoplight and a cop rolls up behind you, and that's like kind of scary. But that's scary for me too. Like, I think they're going to find something to pull me over for. And then when they get out of their cop car to come up to you, they've got a hand on their holster. Like, dude, I'm in the middle of Pendleton. What do you don't need to be on guard like
cops have been shot out of nowhere. Like, that's part of the problem is like there's a history involved with all this stuff that the cops have been conditioned and responding to. Like,
yes, this isn't Mayberry though. This isn't Mayberry. This isn't Mayberry. There's some danger involved with going into that profession.
It's happened.
And if you're not willing to accept those risks, this isn't the field for you.
Well, I can accept that risk.
It's risk mitigation, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if
threatening death,
if there was 1 in 20,000 chances of me walking up behind 20,000 cars to in a traffic pullover, and one of them was going to pull a gun on me, I'm going to be prepared for that one time. And that's part of their job. I mean,
I understand why you say that. I agree. I understand where you're coming from, but I think I already said what I think. But it doesn't change my opinion.
I don't think it has anything to do with size of town either, Joel. I know personally of events in like super small towns. Like, everybody knows everybody, and cops have been shot from pulling somebody over because they were breaking the law. It's happened. It happens everywhere, and so it starts in a circle, and there's two sides of the circle going here. And people get nervous when the cop's behind them. I do. I'm not doing anything wrong, and I'm like, oh shit. When he walks up, and I got both hands on the steering wheel, and he's walking up, or they're at the ready. They're not drawn and ready to go, but they're at the ready. And I think it's not worth dying for not being at the ready. Like, because you just don't know what that person in that car is going to do. You know, and so I don't know how you get around that.
Yeah, that's the risk. That's the risk.
It's also a risk when you get your license to go drive, then, I guess. I'll put it that way, because you're in society. So
there's an interesting parallel study based on officers that came from a war zone like Afghanistan or Iraq, and ones that just came out of a police academy. So you're talking about the different types of police. You're less likely to get in an officer-related incident with the guys that were in Iraq and Afghanistan because they have superior training to the ones that spend 6 weeks in the police academy. So the difference between somebody dying in police custody and not often comes down to like less than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And having that fortitude and experience to calm yourself in that second and a half that you have to make a decision saves a lot of people's lives. So there's a huge deep dive that needs to be done to study more of why this is happening.
I completely agree.
Malcolm Gladwell wrote an amazing book about it that I suggest everybody read, and everybody should be reading it right now, called Talking to Strangers. It's probably
That's
one
Dave
of the,
Gladwell.
probably one of the best books he's ever written. And I mean, he had some killer books.
I like his stuff a lot.
Yeah. Anyways, and we're already. I was watching school last night, and we're already seeing the. In the last 2 days, they lost 14 people out in Minneapolis police department.
Mhm.
That's the ones that actually filed the paperwork. At the end of the last riot, a bunch of the police officers in Minnesota, after the city threw them under the bus for I forget what it was, never came back to work.
Mhm.
Atlanta lost 6 police officers, and New York is losing on average 6 a day.
Yeah.
Just early retirement. I would challenge everybody on this podcast to get another sort of healthy perspective. I would challenge everybody to go watch David Chappelle.
846.
Huh?
His new one.
It was June 6th.
It came out already. Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
I mean, it's a different perspective, and I don't agree with everything that he said in it, but I think it gives you a more holistic approach that, like, where I live, I would not necessarily be exposed to that type of thinking. And had he not established himself in some of his previous stuff,
Precisely.
probably not have heard what he was saying. But because I find a lot of what he says to be the truth, I was probably open to hearing what he was trying to communicate very eloquently in about 12 minutes.
I could not agree more. I think the fact you nailed it, that it was very, the fact that I respect Dave a lot and what he says, and obviously I don't agree everything he says all the time, but I like how he thinks about it. I like how he lays it out as his opinion and takes it from either side. He's pretty open about that. And then I think you're exactly right. Like, if I didn't respect him and have the openness to listen to exactly what he was saying, I probably would have heard it differently as well. And that says a lot about other things, I think, also, which made me think a lot more after I watched it than about what he said during it, to a degree. So yeah, I recommend that too. It was you won't agree with it all. And that's not the point, though. That's the whole point of it, is that you won't agree with it all, but you should still listen.
I think he would consider that a failure if you did.
Yes, I'd agree to that too. But I like what you said too about the training. I had forgotten that stat about combat trained police versus academy, if you will. And I couldn't look anybody in the eye and say that we have enough training in that job or enough pay. I think also, I mean, that comes from somewhere, but I think those split-second decisions, you're knowing, like, if I make the wrong choice, I'm going to die, or my partner might die. If I make the other wrong choice, somebody in my custody might die. You don't want either one of those to happen. I don't think vast majority of 99.9% of people who are cops don't want to either die or kill anybody else. But you had a great point about that combat training. That's where it's instinctual and almost just muscle memory at that point versus, hyped up and just reaction.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm going to do it because there's something so important in that Malcolm Gladwell book is they observe the different types of training, and they noticed that the ones that came out of combat held their finger on the side of their trigger
Mm-hmm.
and did not react to somebody until that person reacted, but knew that they were fast enough to react in a life-preserving way without that finger on the trigger. And I think that comes down to the fact that most officers are trained to have their finger engaged on the trigger in those situations.
Oh,
And
wow.
the armaments will not do that.
Yeah, that's burned into my trigger discipline, as I call it. Your finger is here at all. Like, I do it with everything, not just guns. That's burned into me. And it's not until when you go from here to that to engage, that's fire. And so I think I had not thought about that. I had not heard that. It blows my mind that cops would be trained to keep their finger on that trigger if they're not going to use it. That scares me.
Well, the mechanics of some guns require it to engage safety now.
Say again.
So
What was that, Richard?
mechanics of some of the modern guns require you to have your finger.
Is that where you have to have the pressure on the butt or whatever and pull the trigger?
Some of them are just the trigger itself.
Well, like a Glock has that feature that you have to have your finger on before it'll shoot. You're thinking about like a 1911 drill that's got it's called the beaver tail, where if you're not pushing it from the back, it won't fire either.
Yeah, I thought that was like all 9mm do that.
No.
Isn't that what cops use? I don't know.
Well, they use 9mm, they use 40s, they use some 10mm, some 357s. But
Real personal.
yeah, a lot of time. Yeah,
the qualified ex-military people that get out of war or whatever. I think they're all in. So banks hire a lot of them through different programs to bring in. At least in my career after the Afghanistan and Iraq, right? They hire a lot of them, and they're generally, I think, all very productive, good employees. There should be a bigger push to get more people that are disadvantaged to go through the military. Go through that, and then you'll come out and be very employable. Everybody wants to hire you if you have the basic qualifications and basic level of intelligence. You can do any job you want.
in essence, we've already done that though, and that's what I mean. In the 50s and the 60s, 70s, even that's what a lot of people did. Well, it's twofold. Like, if you've been bad, you had a choice: you go to jail, or you join the army. So I benefited from that. There's no doubt about it. And I didn't have, it wasn't against where I had to either go to the Navy or go to jail. But some people I was in the military with, they had that. That's why they were there. So yeah, I think it's gotten a bad rap to a large degree of why people don't do that. I think it's
scary too. I wouldn't want to go to the military. I said it's scary. I wouldn't want to go in the military. Get sent off to war. I'm too big of a pussy.
Yeah.
Did you hear? Did anybody catch the CNN story about the CNN crew that the guy got out?
No.
So there's military personnel that CNN hired as security with one of their crews to go in with them to the riots, and things went south, and the CNN crew would not have got out had they not been with this guy. And he said that he was exceptionally trained, probably a Ranger or a SEAL, and that he was able to get, I think, 3 to 4 of the CNN guys through what they would have never got through on their own, and got them out and got them to safety. And they were saying how fortunate it was that CNN had the foresight to, I know I'm not shouldn't be praising CNN, but had the foresight to hire somebody with his particular set of skills to help those reporters and have available to him at the time. And
I had missed that.
I guess the videotape of him doing it was like by the book, extremely technical and tactical, and like training that you wouldn't see unless you were in higher levels of the military.
Impressive.
Cool.
Which is sad that we have to talk about that on the United States soil, but then you have to think, man, it's amazing that we have those type of people.
Yes.
The media or the military?
Huh?
Yes.
The
Did you hear what Rawley said?
No, I didn't hear it.
You said the media or the military?
I think a good SEAL or a Ranger is harder to replace than some journalists. Sorry,
I
journalist.
to you there. Yeah. Talk about somebody that needs some more training. Yeah.
Well, they both cost about $1 million to get you up to speed.
I think that the simple way, easy way to break down this question is if you were going to have dinner with two people and you could choose between Anderson Cooper and Jocko Willits, who would you have dinner with?
Jocko.
Who's Jocko Willits? I don't know who that is.
Oh, wow. We're going to change your life, mister.
I've worked him in almost 5 podcasts in a row now.
Oh,
He's a retired SEAL, has a podcast. He's really into jiu-jitsu.
oh, okay, yeah, okay. I think I've heard
He
him.
gets up every morning at like 4:40 or 3:35 and always
Yeah,
has
see how he's taking a picture of his watch?
Yep.
That guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the other guy?
Anderson Cooper, I believe he's a news guy on the CNN. Yeah. Never seen him. Well, I've seen him on the news clips and stuff. I've never watched his show, but yeah.
What is he's like a Rockefeller or a Carnegie or something, isn't he?
Louis Dreyfus.
Huh?
Louis Dreyfus.
That's his
He
dad?
and American Seinfeld are cousins.
He's
Oh,
got a
really?
famous mom or dad or two something, doesn't he?
Yeah, his family is like a Rockefeller or something.
I think so. Doesn't matter. But no,
Mom
Jocko,
is very famous.
hands down, Jocko. Yeah. Jocko podcast is pretty good. Got some good books too. Discipline Equals Freedom. I have an autographed copy of that. Yeah. Actual hardcover book. That's rare for me. Most of them are digital. So yeah. But yeah, I think I have no problem with people bringing to light that we need better trained police, more resources toward that. We need more resources toward that. We do not need to defund and put that money, either take it all away or anything like that. I think that's an overreaction. I think that's way too catchy to say. Doesn't make any sense. We need more training and more resources and the right people there. I think and honesty and openness about the police force. I think that's the only way it's going to survive and grow is if it's clear and open what happens and when. So not spun, not twisted, factual. So I think overall, I think they did one tremendous job. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, it shouldn't happen, but you look at just the sheer numbers of interactions they have, I still think they do a pretty good job. But I'm going to say we can't get better. That's the whole point of everything. We can always be better. So that was a nice that was all basically underneath the intellectual moment of the week. Who knew? Yeah, I mean, who knew?
Any reader mail?
Actually, yes, we had
Look at that.
couple. What's that?
I said, "Fuck yeah! Look at that."
All right, my God, we had several from a lot of just like we had a Jake in Oregon said, "Love the podcast. Always look forward to what movies you guys are going to talk about, and keep up the good random topics and appreciate that." And so that was from Jake. Doc Pfister got a big kick out of his shout out last week or week before. I guess he was just getting caught up, but I had some great moments from him. I had an anonymous one say, "Is Richard really dyslexic since you give him shit for it? And if so, they would like to know more about how you are one of the most intelligent people they've heard, and how do you battle or cope with being dyslexic?" I don't know what should be battle or coping, or how do you? I think it's a strength for you, but we can talk about it later too. But that was just on the reader mail.
Yeah. We can talk about it on the next episode.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, we'll keep that as a topic. Yeah, that was the highlights of the reader mail. A lot of just like laughing and good topics, but no specific, no dating questions yet, Joel. I'm sorry. We should ask for more of those, but I'll try to do a reminder this week that people should send in dating questions and we can help guide their lives. So,
Yeah. Need to make life decisions for the listeners.
absolutely. Yeah, they need our help. So with that, we'll switch to what we learned this week. And Rawley, you got that really inquisitive look, dying to know. What have you learned, Mr. Bixby?
Trying to narrow it down here. If somebody else has it on the top of their head, go ahead.
It's funny how you and Richard you both have the same exact body style right now. Like you both have the hands behind the head and you're just doing the yar. It's pretty funny how you're mirroring each other. So yeah. What we learned, I'll kick it off then. I learned a lot, I hope. I've learned the mob's not always right. I learned that it's okay if Elmer Fudd has a gun. I think that's okay still. I think I've learned that it's pretty sad when people say something they believe and get shot down for it. But I've also learned that people are realizing that it's not right, and to remember that this country is founded on speech and discussion and open discourse and peaceful protest. And I've learned it's going to come back. I thought a lot about what Richard said last time about how we always come back. It's going to be different, but we usually are. We're usually better. So that's me. George, comments?
I learned I'd never heard of Juneteenth before.
Hadn't either. Yeah.
Explain that, please.
What?
Wait, I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out for 3 days now.
So Juneteenth was after, in the Civil War, there was a Declaration and Proclamation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It ended slavery.
The Emancipation Proclamation. Yeah.
Emancipation Proclamation ended slavery, but then like several years later, they finally made their way down to Texas to announce to the slaves that, hey, you're no longer a slave anymore. You can go. That was June 19th, 1865, I think. The other thing I learned was that about a dozen mice wander into Brian's swimming pool every year, because I've just learned how to vacuum the pool. So I set up the vacuum.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like set up the hose into the filter, and you fill it with water, and it creates a suction. But when I took the lid off, I stuck my hand in the mess to take out the metal grate that's in there, and something hit my wrist, and I didn't realize that there was a dead mouse floating in there that hit my wrist.
That'll wake you up. Yeah.
Pretty gross. So I told Brian about it. He said, "Yeah, that happens like 12 times a year. Sometimes there's snakes."
You're going to pay a lot more attention when you open the filter next time, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh.
So 2 things. I learned 2 things.
Both are valuable too.
Yeah.
Richard and Rawls, you guys are over there. There's smoke coming off and steam and shit. Yeah, you guys all right?
Go ahead, Richard.
I've been taking the week to learn about my wife, one of my wife's jobs. She's a very wonderful woman and works multiple jobs. Very free with her time and helpful with many people. But she has been doing the social media for the Beatties Butte Wild Horse Facility, and working on a video to sort of showcase it, get some more information out there when they travel around to different horse shows, and help get the horses adopted. And I've learned that we're very fortunate to have really 2 great trainers there working with the horses. And I learned some new horse training techniques, which I think was interesting and probably less active than some of the ones I've learned in the past. So I hope that when the model of the training facility that we have here gets duplicated in other places. I spent 3 days on a phone call, on a different phone call for one of the beef organizations we're in. And I think one thing I've learned is everything is just amped up higher because of the overall everything that's going on. I think is affecting people negatively, and it makes little things much bigger I think people are making little things much bigger than they should. So maybe one of the things I could pass on is take some time. There's a thing in the oil stand where you take 5 steps back, take 5 seconds, and look at something. I think some iteration of that should be in everybody's mind when you come up to a situation that sort of not triggers, but stresses you out, or sort of sends you in a fight or flight thing. Because I think the situation that we're in the world right now, and all this bombardment of negativity, that I think we might be pushed into. You just need to take 5 steps back, take 5 seconds, and apply your rational mind, because I think a lot of people are blowing, I'm just going to say a bad word, they're blowing shit all out of proportion that 90 days, 120 days ago, they would have just let slip by.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So 5 steps back, 5 seconds. Just think about it for a second.
5 and 5, stay alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. I like that a lot. Thank you, Richard. Mr. Bigsby.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of dovetail off of some of what Richard had to say there. I've tried, of course, I've been irrigating this past week, so my evenings I don't get around TV and get to watch any news, which good and bad.
Yeah.
The probably what I've learned is there's a lot of, and I've known it, and I think the takeaway is to step back and look at the big picture, what's going on. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors right now. There's a lot of things that are cover-up stories in the media to distract from other things that are going on, and there is a lot of things being said to people that cause for ease of manipulation, and people just need to quit stepping into the quagmire and slopping with the pigs, and maybe step back and watch around, look and see how deep it is before you step in. That kind of dovetails off of what Richard had to say there. I just, having not watched it for the last week or so, and have time to think about stuff, you don't allow yourself to be triggered, as Richard was saying. Just use your head, and it's really easy right now. The more tension builds, the more you watch it, the easier it is to really want to fight. And that's not always the answer. Is it something we may have to do sometime? Potentially. But I think there's other ways to get past and through this. And I honestly think that a great deal of America, the 80%, like Richard was talking about, are sitting out here, kind of have that view of it. They're a sleeping giant that really, they don't want to be awoken, and the other side doesn't want to awake them, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
It's something that people need to put life into perspective right now, and where America's headed, and take a look at where you want to be on the other end of this. But it's been weighing heavy on, I think, everybody's minds. I think because it's everywhere. You can't open anything and look at it. I probably give a little credit to my wife, as Richard did. She's very, very non-biased on either side of this, and doesn't feed into it, doesn't look at it, and of course, I tend to want to know what's going on all the time, and sometimes it's not always what's going on isn't what really is going on. So maybe step back and try to look at what's really going on. Not to be conspiracist.
Words of wisdom right there, man.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I
Also,
really appreciate that. That was good to hear.
fit on Kelly too.
Yeah, no, I can't give myself half the credit for some of the way I think sometimes, because I definitely got a wife that's way smarter than I am. So
She had a moment of weakness and married you, but other than that, I think she's got a pretty good track record.
Yeah, that's the only flaw in her hitch.
It's probably, she's doing a good deed. We appreciate it. So
No, but anyways, yeah, that's kind of
I appreciate that.
my takeaway on a lot of stuff here lately.
I think that's good. That means a lot. Who's got movie next week? Is it Rawley or Joel? I don't remember.
I think it's Rawley.
Ooh,
Who
movie.
wants movie of the week? Yeah.
I was gonna feed back into some of the humorous movies that are of the past, but I know everybody doesn't have a whole lot of time, but I'm just gonna throw Lonesome Dove out there.
Mm-hmm.
At the state that we're in the world right now and in our nation, I think it's watching that movie alone might give you a whole nother perspective on what's going on right now that wouldn't be too bad for people to watch.
Nothing else. It's just a really good escape for a while.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with.
How many hours is the whole thing?
6, roughly. Roughly 6.
And we probably all own it too on
various
forms: VHS,
Yes,
DVD, Blu-ray, digital.
Digital, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I know we've all watched it quite a bit, but I think it'd be fun to kind of relate some of the things that go on there in that movie with where we're at today and what kind of takeaways we can take from it.
It ain't
I'm
died.
never gonna turn down a request to take a look at Lori.
Oh, Laura darling. Yeah. Affirmative. She's still shiny. Yeah.
Ah, she's beautiful.
Yes, sir. Whew, man, that's a good moment of silence. Yeah. So everybody playing along at home, next week we're going to do a nice discussion about the ins and outs of probably one of my top 3 movies of all freaking time, Lonesome Dove. So be prepared for that because there's going to be some parallels, some quotes, definitely some gusses and some Woodrows running around. So yeah, it'll be worth the listen to of that. There's no doubt, and that also means Raleigh, you have word of the week also. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, mister. And when you're up all night reading a good book, tending your biscuits, maybe that word of the week will come to you. So we'll see. Say again, Richard?
We're after a good poke.
I ain't saying I did. I ain't saying I didn't. But a man who won't cheat for a poke, you don't want one that bad.
Yeah.
Outstanding. That's great. So let's wrap this whole thing up with I'd like to go out on a semi-high note, hopefully, and talk about the best thing of the week. Hopefully this isn't a stretch for anybody to get to, but it could be big, could be little. It's just whatever it is for you. That's the most important part. So, Raleigh, we're starting with you. Lay it on us.
Best thing of the week. Well, in the urgency to get our cattle work finished before the haying season rolled over, we, like I said earlier, we branded yesterday the last bunch of calves we had. And of course, we woke up in the morning, blue, shiny day, and about 8 o'clock, all hell broke loose, and we had an inch of snow on the ground. And of course, there's a handful of folks that I want to thank for coming and helping in the weather and the odds, and we pushed it back an hour, but the weather broke, and yeah, it was a little bit muddy, but we got through it and everything worked good. And just having good friends and good people that show up to help you accomplish tasks when you need them, and that meant a lot, and that was the best thing of my week.
Dude, where's the invitation? How come you got to send out an invitation to me, and I'll drive up there and help?
Lost in the mail.
I will remember that next time, Joel.
All right. Well, I'll be here for another month or 2. I don't know.
Probably needs a good rake hand here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could put you on a wheel line and a rake.
All right, I'll bring my rake.
Perfect.
I don't mean to laugh. That's perfect. Get you a good one. You want a good solid handle and a pair of gloves.
Yeah. Go down to Zimmerman's Hardware and I'll buy their best rake.
Do that.
I go to RDO.
Ask him to get one that's really good at making windrows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll hook you up. I'd go to Zimmerman's first. Yeah.
I'll get a metal one, not one of those stupid plastic ones.
Well,
Yeah.
they both have their advantages. Yeah. But you might appreciate it more later on. Yeah. So.
Pick up a board stretcher while you're there.
No. I just had a flashback to ag class in high school. I thank you for that, Richard. Yeah. Joel, would you care to enlighten us with your best thing of the week? Damn you, Bradbury. That was funny.
Well, I already talked about it. My buddy came, my New York friend, college friend, he came into town and we had a good time. Hit all the hot spots, like I said.
Awesome.
Especially, I'm not going to name which bars, but there is a bar that allows you now to sit at the bar, which is my favorite thing to do. So,
Oh yeah.
I think they're breaking the law when they allow that. But
field trip.
Yeah.
I love it. Richard.
Well, obviously my wife's birthday.
Yes.
Best thing of the week.
Was there a second best thing of the week?
Yes. I just have to say that turning my grades in on Monday was amazing. But I have to say the overall experience of doing 3 months teaching 7th and 9th graders was equally amazing. And I learned so much about the education system, all the people that are, I could say probably if you spent 90 days with the police, you'd say the same thing. These are dedicated people that are like in it to do the very best they can for your children. And my hat is off to them. And they work pretty tirelessly, and they're a pretty diverse bunch of people. You know, not everybody sees that eye, but like the one thing that they do is, you know, they want all those kids to be successful, and that's have that kind of dedication is just inspiring. So yeah, that was a great part of my week.
That's awesome. Yeah. As I got older and looked back, I felt sorry for a lot of my teachers because of the hell that I put them through. I'm sure I trained them for things to come. They went through some serious combat when our class rolled through there. But yeah, if you're listening, you know who you are. Thanks. Yeah. So for me, it's kind of selfish, but my best thing of the week was certainly that Friday the 5th, my house went on the market in Lincoln to be sold. And by Friday the 12th, I had a really nice offer and agreement in hand. And so it's off the market. All the paperwork's good to go unless something crazy happens.
Awesome.
It's going to be sold. So yeah, put a house on the market a week later. I'm pretty happy.
You're freezing up, Mike. I think you sold your house. So you said?
How craptacular is that? Yeah, it doesn't freeze up on my end. But yeah, sold my house in a week. Got a good solid offer. One less thing to worry about, really. That was kind of weighing on my mind a lot of when it was going to go and for what. And so, yeah, it was like.
Wait, so when are you making the move then?
Oh, in the next few weeks. We got a 45-day closing was the only thing they really requested, and I'm totally good with that. So
Okay.
I'm in the process of boxing stuff up in the evenings and early in the morning and throwing some stuff away and giving some stuff away and getting a sense of what I'm going to take with, and then I'll wander south. So yeah, but that was my high point, because that was a pretty big burden on my brain what was going to happen with the hacienda. So turns out somebody else wants it just as much as I did, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, I appreciated that.
Good deal.
Yeah, sorry, I guess it sounds like we've had some internet connections a couple times. I apologize to everybody if we froze or broke up or skipped. That's just one of the good and the bads. I had some, like T-Mobile had a bunch of hell today. My uncle tried to get a hold of me like for 2 hours and couldn't get through. So I called him, no problem. But yeah, today is Uncle Buckwheat's birthday, so I called him nice and early this morning to to wish him happy birthday, and he was heading out the door to go build fence already. So he called me back this evening. But anyways, yeah, there was some strange internet connections going on today. So, but,
what is left for him to build?
I don't
He's
know.
rebuilding.
Richard. That's a good question. What fence is left for him to build? Yeah, he was.
I think he's been building fence for 6 straight years.
He was clear up on top of Buck Creek somewhere. I'm sure like the last intercontinental fence post has been put in the ground now, thanks to him enjoying the two continents together. So I'll have to ask him that. Like, is there anything left to build? I know, that's a good question. I think he's just tearing shit down to go build it again and chopping firewood in the meantime. So we should send Joel down to do an internship with buckwheat for about a week and a half.
That would be Joel's biggest education in life.
That would be. That would be. We might have to make that happen. I think that could be good times indeed. You can see Richard every once in a while because you'd be close to his part of the world. But yeah, he'd be up early. And
yeah, I don't think he'd like my hours.
Oh, he's pretty convincing if he wants to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd just wake up in your bed, probably in the middle of the forest. He's just pick you up and pack you out. Yeah.
Not in the union, but I prefer the union hours.
No, it's definitely not union. Yeah. Oh, we might have to get that arranged. But anybody else have anything for the good of the order before we wrap this week up and get excited about watching Lonesome Dove again? And I just want to thank you guys for some of your great thoughts and perspective and kind of calming me down a little bit. I get a little tensed up every once in a while, so it's good to hear some sanity. I'm going to read that Gladwell book too. I'm excited about that.
I want to find out who that person we can't name out loud is, and then so I can
You got
read
the
that
title
book.
of the book. That's
Well,
all.
I forgot. So
We'll get you to it after. So
yeah,
we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. Again, guys, make sure you share this with your friends and your enemies. You might switch those around. Who knows? Friends might become enemies and enemies might become friends when they all get some reaching done. So until next time, we will see you soon. And thank you so much for listening to what we have to say.